Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dave Mazer. Appreciate you carving out some time in your afternoon to sit down and view this webinar. The idea here is kind of nothing new to those of you that are familiar with TIE Kinetics. I think that we have kind of a mix of current customers, folks that I've had conversations with in the past, as well as people here that may not be as familiar with TIE. So I'll try to be as general and specific at the same time when we talk about how to increase supply chain efficiency through automation. As I mentioned, my name is Dave Mazer. I'm located in our Tewksbury, Massachusetts office, which is about 30 miles north of Boston, and I'm going to try not to discuss much about the company until the end, because I know that a lot of you are already familiar with TIE. One thing I want to tell everyone before we get started is that we have some time set aside for Q&A towards the end of this, but please, if you see something that raises a red flag or that you'd like more information about, if you go into your chat box of the GoToWebinar, type it in. If I see it, I will answer it right away, and if not, I'll try to dig through them towards the end of the webinar itself. So as I mentioned, talking about how to increase supply chain efficiency through automation, how automation can help, how TIE can help, and how to build the case for this, both at the IT level and to your CFO or decision maker. I know that oftentimes when I have EDI and IT contacts on these webinars or on a conversation, it's, yes, this sounds fantastic, but how do I get someone to spend money on it? Well, that's the idea, is that we'll try to help you with that conversation as well. And again, go through a little bit of our company overview for those that aren't familiar with TIE, as well as some Q&A towards the end. So let's cut to the chase and talk about some challenges in a manual supply chain process. Even though there are many of you from larger organizations that I'm sure are doing a considerable amount of EDI or electronic documents, the research shows that 80% of transactions are still managed by paper and human entry currently. Some of those documents, in fact, more than half of those paper documents actually stem from a digital origin originally. So you might see a PDF come through a fax, but it's very possible that that PDF was at one point a CSV out of QuickBooks, and it was turned into PDF. Don't get me wrong, there are scenarios where trading partners of yours don't have something like a QuickBooks creating a PDF, and these actually are faxed images. But if you could take half of your, or more than half of your paper-based documents that you're getting in fax and turn them into either EDI or an automated form of a PDF document that you could import into ERP, think of the time savings that would be involved in that. Time equals money, so the cost saving is there as well. So time and cost are just kind of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to why paper-based documents hurt. When we see challenges and we think of extended wait times, me personally being on the sales side, when I think of extended wait times, I think of the time that it takes to get an order into your ERP system and processed. However, when you're trying to sell this to someone in finance in your organization, think about it from a finance perspective and how much more efficiently and more quickly you can get an invoice paid if it's EDI or if it's not a manual process. Oftentimes, EDI documents are given a higher priority by trading partners in accounts payable. So the easiest way to tell your CFO or tell someone in accounting why we need to push automation and EDI in general is what an easy way to get a quicker turnaround on our invoices. Another massive problem with manual-based document processing, for lack of a better term, is errors, and human interaction is actually one of the largest points of error. Yes, sometimes it's a lack of technology, an ERP that can't handle something, but oftentimes it's something as simple as like fat fingering an order entry process that's causing an error. Errors are then transformed into money in terms of chargebacks or shipping errors or scorecard ratings. So if we can reduce human interaction, we can reduce errors and certainly improve processing time. Throughout this webinar, I'm going to talk about invoices and purchase orders and ship notices as kind of the rule of thumb. Don't take that as the only type of document that we can help automate and that this webinar is revolving around. TIE has been around for about 30 years, and we've seen pretty much any kind of a B2B document exchange that you can imagine. So if you have a railroad document specific or insurance or healthcare, we've seen it all, we've been through it all, and can certainly help and have a more detailed conversation when we get to that point. Looking through where paper-based or non-automated paper-based documents hurt, it affects every level of your organization and every department in your organization, from logistics dealing with a shipping error, or finance trying to collect a payment or deal with chargebacks, or sales trying to process an order more quickly. It's every division, it's every level from executive down to the person that's actually doing order entry. So there's not a place in your organization that would say, this is not a good idea. It's just a matter of trying to convince the powers that be that it makes sense specific to your organization. As I mentioned, human error is kind of inaccuracy or error reason number one at over 59%. However, there are other reasons for inaccurate or invalid data. Some of it's as simple as a ERP issue, whether it be an outbound document that needs a piece of information that's not stored in ERP. It's inbound information, inbound document that has improper information on it, such as a different unit of measure, a wrong unit of measure, whether that's because your trading partner entered it wrong, they didn't have the option to ship in or to order in feet instead of yards. These are really simple inaccuracies that cause quite a headache on both inbound and outbound documents. And one of the things that I want to try to get to a little bit later in this is, yes, we're talking about automation, and when we think of automation, we think of hands-off data processing or document processing. But how do you make this automated system run correctly and not just import bad data and bad, inaccurate information into your ERP or out of your ERP? I've mentioned it a little bit earlier, but manual processes are expensive, whether it be because of those errors and chargebacks, or it's just the cost of your customer service team doing order entry instead of sticking to their core competencies and helping the customer base. Worse yet, if your IT department is dealing with fixing EDI issues instead of helping with internal IT support. Everything that we think of in terms of getting a document into or out of your back-end system is time and money. So if we can help just a little bit here and there, is how you can make this a cost-effective solution. That last bullet on this slide I always find very interesting too, is there's no scalability in terms of a manual process, and that becomes a massive problem with larger organizations. When you're first small and you have one trading partner or two trading partners, it's easy to say, okay, I can get these invoices out, but what happens when those two trading partners turn into 200? You have to have a plan for growth, and that's one of the trends that's happening these days in the supply chain. What are some other trends that we're seeing in the supply chain? I'd probably not be on this webinar with you if the first trend wasn't true, and that's EDI is growing. It's growing heavily, despite what we used to think about XML and everyone figuring out a way to exchange XML documents with each other. EDI is larger than it's ever been, and is really an easy way to automate the document exchange process. And one of the things that we say, when I say EDI, I may not be talking about what you think of EDI. We can take a paper document and turn it into EDI. So if you're here and you don't do EDI currently, you don't have any kind of translation system, and you typically send an invoice as a piece of paper, and your trading partners say, hey, can you send us EDI? And you say, no, we've never looked at it. Well, what if we just took that paper invoice and you sent it to us instead of sending it to your trading partner, and we turned it into an EDI document? So to your trading partner, you're sending them EDI, you are EDI compliant, however, you haven't really changed anything on your end of the table. That's what we can do in terms of helping EDI transactions increase for those that aren't familiar with EDI currently. Automation is growing. Companies are going paperless. Software is disappearing. It's actually really interesting. You see it more often than not. I see it in our company right here within TIE. Software used to be our number one revenue generating platform, and I would go as far as to say that software is probably the least sold out of all of our offerings, and everything seems to be cloud and SaaS, software as a service. Again, largely because of time, efficiency, scalability. It's a much more scalable approach, taking the kind of the SaaS route as opposed to your traditional on-premise software. And of course, speed of operations. Interesting fact here that even in the most conservative traditional B2B firms are saying that we need to dive headfirst into making operational changes that drive speed. Speed of operations is now a key in the success of your company. So if automation and speed of operations are key, then TIE Kinetics is the answer. Whether it be through EDI or just automating paper-based documents, We're talking about reducing costs, saving times, eliminating errors. I can't say this with enough impact, that automation is nothing if it's error prone. If you're using an OCR technology to import a paper-based document, but you're getting errors, what's the benefit over just having someone enter it manually? If you have errors, even when you're doing EDI, so something's passing EDI validation, but it's going into your ERP, and for some reason or another it doesn't pass your business needs of validation, you're not getting the full advantage of automating that process. And ultimately, that last bullet again, employees freed up to add value to your business operations and customer experience. What is more important than getting the most out of your employees, whether that be someone in customer success or someone in IT, freed up to do their job as opposed to entering an order or fixing an order. I can't tell you how many times I talk to EDI resources that say, I don't really do a whole lot of new trading partner onboarding because I'm constantly fixing errors that are from existing EDI trading partners. And it's like, well, that's not what you're here to do. You're here to grow your EDI organization and grow that EDI platform. You've gone through the training, you know how to create the maps, you know how to test them. So let's take advantage of your skills and core competencies and stop you from fixing something that should be working automatically. So how does TIE help automate manual processes? Again, I'm going to talk about basic documents, but don't hold this, hold me to this and think that this is the only thing that we're doing. So sales order automation. What is sales order automation? Think of it as taking any kind of inbound purchase order, whether it's EDI or it's XML or it's a PDF or it's a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet or a web form. What about a web shop that you have that you have customers that create orders in? We want to automate that entire system accurately and efficiently. If you can pull in all those documents on the inbound side accurately and effectively, you're back to letting the rest of your team focus on core competencies. And again, a lot of times I say EDI and I use it as kind of like a catch-all, but try not to think of it that way. We can do this with PDFs, Excels, CSVs, and I'll go into kind of how to maximize all the types of documents that you can automate towards the end of the webinar. The same thing can be said on the outbound side of your supply chain. So invoices, ship notices, order acknowledgements, whatever it may be, you want to automate that process, and TIE can help. So if it's something as you're sending your invoices through the mail or through the fax or through the email, there's a faster way to do it, whether it be through a web form, whether it be through taking that paper and turning it into an EDI document. That's a simple way of getting paid faster, getting a better scorecard rating from some of your trading partners, and in an environment where everyone is competing so closely in terms of cost, the smallest advantage is becoming a larger and larger factor. It goes back to that idea of the speed of operations is such a key in success. So how can TIE help? let's take a look at this this map, as we'll call it, and we'll start on the left-hand side. So that is your business community, whether it be a supplier or a customer. It doesn't make a difference, but let's read this from left to right and think of the process of an inbound document. So whether that data is EDI or PDF or a web-based module or an API, again, or a CSV, and regardless of the type of document it is, we can handle in our little bubble here, our cloud bubble, a type of advanced data capture. And it's not what you think of in terms of, if those of you that are familiar with EDI, it's not what you think of in terms of like mapping or anything like that. It's a bit more sophisticated than that, that we can actually grab the data and send it through validation. We break it down into terms that our smart validator can understand and send it through validation. Yes, it's still running through EDI validation if it's an EDI document, but you can set up business rules to check for unit of measure, date, dates, timestamps, dollar figures that are greater than X, or unit of measures that are greater than Y. There's no reason why you can't check against SKU numbers, things of that nature. You can reference these to cross references and make sure that rules are set up for pretty much anything that you want to check for in order to not get bad data into your ERP system. Again, automation is useless if you're automating bad information. So once it goes through validation, if it passes validation, fantastic. We convert it into a document type that your ERP system can consume. We send it into you for that consumption. We also can store it for audit or risk type of compliance. If for some reason though that inbound document didn't pass validation, two things can happen. One, you can we can stop it right there. We can notify your trading partner that this information was invalid for one reason or another, and we can give them a web form to fix that problem right then and there. We can also say, you know what, no, this is an inbound purchase order. Even though it's wrong, I still want to know about it, but I don't want to fix it once it's already in ERP. I want to fix it. I want my customer service or customer success team to fix it in that web form before it gets into ERP, so I'm not backing anything out. That's where it's nice when you think of an inbound purchase order. But we have a customer that oftentimes gets inbound invoices from a supplier that are that don't pass their validation. Maybe it's a bad date, or maybe it's missing a part number. We stop it, we send it back to their supplier and say, you know what, we're not processing this invoice until it comes through us correctly. And they fix it, their supplier fixes it, reprocesses it, it goes back through that advanced data capture, passes validation all before it gets converted into your document of choice and imported into your ERP. The same thing can be said. I didn't take the time to reverse this map, but the same thing can be said on the outbound side, and it's where we almost see this data, this advanced data capture being more useful. Oftentimes, we'll see our customers taking advantage of validation on outbound advanced ship notices. So you take an outbound ship notice and it passes EDI validation, but it doesn't seem to, it doesn't have the customer part number on it because you didn't have the customer part number in your ERP. Now when it goes through validation, instead of it going out to your trading partner and then you getting a chargeback because you didn't have their part number on their ASN, it'll stop, it'll notify you, hey, you forgot to include customer part number on this ship notice. Are you sure you want to send it, or do you want to enter it here, enter it there, reprocess? It's saved in raw EDI, so you're safe against audit, audit scenarios, but then it goes out to your trading partner with without that bad, or I guess missing data in that scenario. This is all well and good, but ultimately, I have this conversation with customers of ours or prospects that aren't familiar with EDI, and it's, what makes EDI difficult? Re-entering information if it's not integrated, technical staff that needs to be trained and pulled away from their day-to-day duties. Oftentimes updating needs to be is required, whether it be to maps because your customers make a change, whether it be to maps because your ERP has changed. EDI used to be such a time-consuming and pricey solution to the document exchange process. It's not really the case anymore. TIE takes EDI completely off of your hands. Oftentimes, like I said, customers of ours that are familiar with our on-premise software just aren't familiar with the fact that we can do everything for you in a managed service SaaS-based environment for usually a fraction of the cost of what it costs to run EDI internally, especially when you start to talk about larger systems. In fact, research showed that 96% of companies indicated that moving to an EDI managed service, like an outsourced cloud-based model, increased their B2B integration program, largely because it allows them to budget better. It's an easier way to justify spending in terms of replacing capital expenditure with operational costs. And oftentimes too, we talk about reduction in map costing. TIE is able to create maps and onboard trading partners about 50% faster than in on-premise models. It's a little bit of the magic behind the scenes, but rapid onboarding of trading partners, new EDI trading partners, is one of the most cost-effective ways to get the most out of your current EDI environment, and that's something that an EDI managed service can handle. We're able to I know that some of you here are not current TIE customers, so try to take this with either with a grain of salt or to hold it very close to your heart. But we're able to migrate your current EDI system, if it's a TIE system, over to our managed cloud-based solution very, very efficiently and cost effectively. It's the idea of don't worry about EDI anymore. We're taking EDI completely off of your hands. We have about 200 customers that have gone this route with us, doing a little over 1 million kilo characters a month through this system. And again, customers of ours that have gone this route, I always say that it's very interesting that because the backbone of our system is eVision. Our product eVision is our translator and mapping solution. Even though that backbone is the same on-premise as well as in the cloud, it can be moved in either direction. You can take someone that's using a managed service solution and migrate it into an on-premise solution. You can take someone that's using an on-premise solution and migrate it to the cloud-based model. In my time at TIE, I've never seen a customer that uses the cloud-based model migrate to an on-premise solution. I would actually say that on the flip side, the most common request that I, as a salesperson, hear from my customers is, hey, let's talk about moving my on-premise system to your EDI managed service. How does that work? What does it cost? How quickly can it be done? It's you know, a couple times a week at this point that I'm running through this. So we talked about kind of what we can do, but how do you build the case to your, to your CFO or your finance team that this makes sense to you? The thing that I say right off the bat is try to figure out how to maximize automation. So pull your customer base or your supplier base. If you were able to do EDI, would they do it with you? If they're sending you an emailed order or an emailed document of any kind, is that PDF something that's stemming from like a QuickBooks or stemming from a CSV originally? Would they prefer if you could give them a web-based order entry portal where they could upload a document or hand key in a document? Would they prefer to go that route for those smaller mom and pop shops? Try to figure out a plan that works for your partner base. Analyze your current costs. So how large is your customer service team that's manually entering orders? How many hours a day do they spend? This is what your accounting department is going to think of. If you say, you know what, I can take, if I can take Sammy in customer service and they will get 5 hours of their day back, that's 35 hours a week, I guess, if you're working 7 days a week. But if I can save that time, what does that mean for my company in terms of saving costs? What you always end up seeing is that human data entry is always more expensive than using technology to automate the process. Even our customers that have massive automated supply chain systems through us, EDI, PDF, XML, validator, they do it all. They might spend what you'd think of as a lot of money with us. They're spending that money because it's cheaper than the traditional way. So when you think of cost expensive or cost expenditure, realize that if you build the case for this the right way, there's there's always a cost savings in reality to your CFO. Absolutely, I would say if you have ideas about how to effectively or how to create a plan for onboarding, but need help with developing that business case, contact your TIE account manager. Reach out to our info at tiekinetics.com account and get in touch with some of us, and we can help build that case with you. Contact us and ask about how we can help onboard in a more faster as well as a more cost-effective manner. It's something that's changed within TIE in the past year and a half or so. So even if you're pretty familiar with us and are wondering, what's Dave talking about, give us a call, shoot us an email, and we can talk to you about how this works. So I didn't want to dig into this in the beginning because I know that there are a lot of you that are familiar with TIE already, but those of you that are not, so TIE Kinetics, we're a global organization. Our headquarters is based out of the Netherlands. We have an office in France, Germany, sales office in Australia, a small development team in Vietnam. As I mentioned, I'm north of Boston, but our EDI integration and implementation group is just outside of St. Paul, Minnesota. So when you call into support, you're talking to you're talking to someone in St. Paul. But if you have trading partners that have a global presence, or you're thinking about doing EDI with a company that's overseas, we have people that can help with testing. We're familiar with standards that are not the everyday for companies that are used to dealing in the United States. We are a publicly traded company. We're listed on the Euronext. We've been around, I think I mentioned already, for about 30 years. We facilitate over 3 billion content exchanges per year. So if you haven't heard of us, now you have, and we're a long-standing company, have been around for a long time, and have a pretty large presence. This is about a couple of our customers here, but we have, I think that this number, I think this slide's a little outdated. I think that we're hovering closer to 3,500 customers globally. Small mom and pop shops that have one trading partner to massive organizations that exchange. Actually, I think our largest exchange is 3 million documents a month. So EDI and document automation really runs the gamut, and so does TIE. One of the things that I have to backtrack a little bit here and go back to this, oftentimes the customers that we have currently are very familiar with what we talked about on our webinar today, supply chain and system integration, which, if you look at this this infinity sign, is in the bottom right hand corner. Order automation, invoice automation, shipping and delivery automation. What a lot of you may not know is that TIE is a Google Premier partner. So our analytics offering is based off of Google Analytics and is ultimately second to none. If you are trying to figure out a way to analyze your document or content exchange system, the world is at your fingertips really with Google Analytics, and we can help integrate with that and show any kind of reporting that you could ever really imagine. On the other side, if we take a look at the bottom left, instead of thinking about how to fulfill orders and fulfill the supply chain side of things, the left-hand side of this is more based on how to drive those orders. We don't just automate supply chain documents, we automate content through your channel partners. So content syndication, email campaigns, Google AdWords campaigns through your channel partners. Ultimately, what we're trying to do on the left-hand side here is expand your content in an automated fashion and share it with your channel partners to then drive leads, convert leads, drive sales that will make your integration, whether it be your EDI side of the house or your order automation side of the house, the perfect problem to have, which is that your EDI system is growing. So hence the infinity sign. If we can drive leads and we can drive sales, we can increase the need for EDI or inbound document transaction automation. appreciate everyone taking time to join us today. Again, reach out to your TIE account manager. If you're not familiar with us, I'd love to have a conversation. Feel free to give me a call, send me an email, and myself or one of the other account managers can certainly start the process for you. Again, appreciate it. Hope you all have a great day. Take care.